What's up, world? Back with another episode. It is the Up Watching Hawaii podcast. Back again. Trying to get back on a regular schedule. Trying to put it out weekly, but it took a little bit more than a week. Real life happens. Shit's going on out here in these streets. That's something that's got to get handled, but gonna try to stick to the schedule of dropping an episode every Sunday, Monday, gathering things throughout the work week because shit just keep on happening that we try to keep track of over here. And things just keep piling up. So we're just gonna stick with almost everything that's happened during the work week. So record on Saturdays, Sundays, get it out to y'all Monday, Tuesday morning, so y'all can have something to listen to while you're at work and get your little sports fix, baby. But we're gonna glance over a few topics. We changing over the format a little bit. We're gonna start off with a couple of just quick topics to go over a little bit of things like that. Then we're gonna get in depth about some more in depth things like current situation going on with the Hawaii football team. We're going to talk about, of course, the national championship game and how great that was. Then we're going to talk about fallout from Black Monday and all the things going on there, and a little bit going into the Rooney Rule. Then we're going to discuss UFC and the current things they got going on. And also, this episode, we just so happen to have ourselves a special guest decided to stop by and give us a nice little rant about something that they liked that happened this week. But we're gonna play the intro, pay a couple of bills. We're gonna get right back to you. What's up, world? This is the Up Watching Hawaii podcast. I'm Smurf,
And it's your guy, Sai, and we watch the games that you can't stay up to.
and we also watch the combat sports as well. We are hosted live in the SayLess podcast Discord server. Shout out to the SayLess podcast of Kaz, Lowkey, and Rosy.
And we are also affiliated with the Otaku Fight Club podcast, hosted by yours truly.
And we are also affiliated with the Sips Tea podcast, hosted by Genesis and Csaint, a rapper and a battle rapper out of Buffalo, New York. All the links to everything described here in the bottom of the description, and we'll get started with the show. White outs are frustrated. Good grief. Hey, it's Ski Mask Murphy come back here to y'all once again. This podcast episode is mostly just going to feature me with a special guest. Mention that, introduce him, let him come in a little bit later. But live watching the Philadelphia Eagles not stand a chance against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in this playoff game. Doesn't even feel like a playoff game. It's just like that one game last night. Get to that later. But yeah, here's a new segment that we're going to keep steady going forward called Quick Hits. We're going to spend about 90 seconds talking about subjects that came up into the headlines over the past week or so. And then, keep it moving, keep pushing, then discuss the bigger topics later on the podcast when we pay the bills. And to get to the first thing that came up this week, that was big topic and also a little crazy, is the whole game last week that featured the Raiders versus the Chargers for who would make the playoffs out of the AFC West. And the crazy thing about it was, oh, we got a muff. Ooh, Tempe got that ball back. Oh, they got the ball back. He muffed all of that to hell. But yeah, back to last week. Yeah, it was a situation where basically Raiders Chargers they're playing to get in the playoffs, but if they would have tied, both of them make the playoffs and it kicks the Pittsburgh Steelers out. And this game goes all the way into overtime. And boy, oh boy, them Steelers fans were stressed. Like, last second possible, that field goal goes up. And then Raiders get lucky there. But then they come to the playoffs this week versus the Bengals. And, luck ran out a little bit. I don't know if anybody else here saw, but had an inadvertent whistle on a play out there. And that has to hurt because that inadvertent whistle led directly to a touchdown. I don't think I've seen anything like that. Most of the time, they've been trying to do this whole having replay officials come and be more active in the playoffs, but that didn't help because the touchdown that happened should have got called back. Now moving on. Once again, probably the craziest person we've ever seen in football. Antonio Brown is back at it again. So after storming out off the field during that Jets game last week, this man has been on, I don't even know to call it a press run. But he's been on like 3 different podcasts. He's been hanging out with Kanye, Madonna, Floyd Mayweather, YG, The Game, basically, basically anyone and everyone possible, and it's just been a wild scene, a wild scene, and it's one of those things where it's like, well, see the Bucks, they delayed in cutting them. I guess they tried to make sure they had their paperwork straight, which none of them came back on them, because I can see why they wanted to get rid of him, because this man's been flip flopping. One day it's like he hates Brady, then the next day he's like, yeah, that's the homie, but Antonio Brown has become a pariah to the National Football League. And I don't know how much longer anyone else is going to put up with it. I don't know if he's going to end up on a team next year. I'm a little doubtful about that. But if it happens for him, it happens for him. And hey, the man can play his ass off. That's Tony Toe Tap forever and always. No one can beat that footwork. And now let's go on to a big splash in the world of basketball. And that long time WNBA player, like I think she did like 15, 16 seasons in the WNBA, and then has been assistant coach for the San Antonio Spurs under Greg Popovich for the past decade, and Becky Hammond signs what is said to be the highest paid contract of any WNBA coach ever, which really just means over like $1 million a year. Because you have people like Gina Ariema and Dawn Staley who coach down at the NCAA women's level. Excuse me. Both of those two are getting about $3 million a year to do that. So let you know it's not about the money for her. She want to be with the big dogs, and this gonna be a big splash. And WNBA salary cap's only 1.3 million a year, so that's probably what they signed her to, just to match the cap. Be like, hey, you're getting paid the same amount as the team is, and nothing more, nothing less, to make sure things don't get too crazy between other coaches being like, hey, we want bigger money too. But she's probably the most deserving, given the pedigree of her coaching. I mean, she's always coached the Spurs summer league team, and she's very deserving. Shout out to Becky Hammond. Now moving on, the NCAA is protecting their biggest investment. For all of those who think college football brings in a lot of money, it is nothing compared to NCAA March Madness and those two tournaments between the men and the women's. That's it's what 1.5 billion for the men's tournament alone every season, and then I think about half a million, half a half to a quarter billion alone for the women's March Madness tournament every season that they bring in money. And so the NCAA has decided, hey, anyone who contracts COVID for the next 90 days, they are considered to have been vaccinated. Just so any player who gets infected can play. They're trying to protect their investment. They're trying to make sure, hey, whatever happens, this tournament gonna happen. We getting this money. There ain't nothing you can do to stop them from getting this money. And it smart move by them. Smart move by them, because it's like you know the only part of the college basketball season you make money is the tournament. Hey, make sure everybody as much as possible can play in that tournament, and also the conference tournaments that lead into it that make the whole thing March Madness, and keep that going. And then a ghost from fucking snowboarding pads is still reckoning his fucking face. So I remember when I was young, like this is way back. If you know the game Sean Palmer snowboarding, then you know exactly how long this man has been doing what he's doing. Carrot Top, aka the redheaded boogeyman, aka the chosen one, aka Shaun White, has just qualified for the Winter Olympics. Once again, this makes 5 different Olympics that he's been in. That's a fucking 20-year span of this man being one of the most elite of snowboarders you've ever fucking seen in your life. Like, I mean, he also had his foray into skateboarding where he was trying to be the first guy to ever hit a 1080 in a half pipe. That failed for him. But this is really the first guy who was pulling out 1440s and above in slopestyle and super pipe and snowboarding. And he's made the Olympics, and also his little mini me goon, Chloe Kim, is still out there doing her thing. She took home a medal at this last U.S. event before the Winter Olympics start. So if Shaun White can make the podium at the Winter Olympics, that would be crazy. That'd be a crazy scene to see going on and moving forward. Like that's goated status. He'd be up there with Kelly Slater. And now, or one of the funniest stories that happened this week. So, former NFL linebacker Bart Scott for the New York Jets on a show aptly titled "Get Up" said for Josh Allen for him to prepare himself to play in the game last night that was going to be around -5 to -10 degrees. That to keep the blood flowing and to keep warm, pop a Viagra. I've heard of athletes doing all kinds of things in different training to get shit done, but pop a Viagra is one that I've never heard. That's some new shit, and it's fucking hilarious. But I don't know if he popped the Viagra or not. But Josh Allen and his squad went out there and put the absolute stumps on the New England Patriots. It was immaculate. They scored on every drive except for before the end of both halves where they nailed it down to run out the clock. And that shit was obscenely crazy. I ain't never seen no shit like that where every drive they just I mean, except for like that one shootout, like that time between the Rams and the Chiefs, like way back the game that's supposed to be in Mexico City, but ended up not being there. That one I've never really seen nobody just every drive touchdown. I mean, I've seen every drive score was like touchdown, field goals, yada yada, but not every drive touchdown and a playoff game at that. But that leads us in for me introducing our special guest today from the Sips Tea podcast. One third, one third of them. Shout out to Genesis and shout out to the Golden Child. I have the one and only Csaint he ain't straight out of Buffalo to celebrate his team putting the goddamn stumps on people. Quick commercial and we'll get to him. During this brief intermission, I just wanted to remind all our listeners that we are available on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, and we also have a Twitter account where you guys can interact with us and catch up with us, see our ideas on some things happening between our podcast episodes. Links will always be down in the description. And now back to the action. Quickly, to preface what you all are about to hear, is this man's live reaction immediately after the game happened. This is this is not a scheduled podcast piece, but I felt the need to record this, and he was cool with letting y'all hear how he felt. Without further ado, let's get to this Bills Mafia bullshit.
First win exposed y'all. No, it was windy as fuck, but y'all refused to believe that. Oh, that second game, yeah, we whooped their ass, and in this game, we just bullied them niggas. This is, oh my god, it feels so fucking good. We deserve this. We deserve it. We fucking deserve it. Josh Allen, the fuck, the fuck, Micah Hyde.
Oh damn it! Your boy Josh almost had a perfect passer rating too.
Yeah, he almost did. Fucking Matt Milano, the fuck out of here, yo. We was wilding on them niggas today. Bills fucking Mafia, yo. Fuck Patriots. As a staff, record label, and a motherfucking crew. And if you down with Patriots, fuck you too, nigga. Chino XL, fuck you too. My fofo make sure all your kids don't grow.
Wait, who's Chino XL? Who was that?
Alright, that's this nigga from the fucking and the what's it called? Tupac hit him up this.
Oh,
That's the type of time I'm on right now.
Mhm.
So Patriots got their ass whooped. They can eat a dick. It ain't no question no more of who run the AFC East. It's not a fucking debate. It's not a fucking talking point. The Bills run the AFC East. Period. If you don't agree with that, you delusional. Straight
Okay.
up delusional.
Mhm.
And you can suck a dick.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, I said it. Yeah, you can suck the dildo that they threw on the field.
Wait, when they throw the dildo on the field?
Nigga, they threw a whole dick on the field, my nigga.
Oh, I missed that.
You think I'm playing?
I believe you. I believe you. I believe
Look at
you.
it. Look at the group chat. Look at the shit. They threw a whole dick on the field, nigga.
Let me find this.
Bills Mafia, nigga.
Oh
We throw
shit.
dicks on field.
Oh
We
shit.
throw
Oh.
dicks on field at niggas, yo.
Oh, word. They
That's how we
threw
feel about you niggas. We throw dicks on y'all niggas.
a whole dick on the field.
That is kind of funny.
Yeah, we call them dildos around here. We threw a whole dildo on y'all ass,
Uh, I don't know how I feel about Bill though.
bitch ass niggas. I'm done. I feel good. You know what I'm saying? I feel good. Bills motherfucking Mafia, nigga. I'm just saying, ain't no motherfucking debate on who run the AFC East. That's it. We won. Bitch ass niggas. Nigga, Josh Allen scored a touchdown and was just stone faced. Nigga's a murderer. I
I mean,
like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was unnecessary when y'all put the lineman in there to get that TD though. That,
Nah, we was styling on these niggas. Oh, you mad cause I'm styling? No, no, we was styling on them niggas, yo.
Holy shit. Oh god. Uh, that. I mean, y'all niggas was styling on him. It was the most necessary and unnecessary shit I've ever seen in my life. Y'all had them niggas in a full on chokehold.
Nigga, man, tears in his eyes at the end. Little
Yeah.
pussy ass bitch. It's a man's game. You ain't built like this, nigga.
What is
This shit for
happening?
men. This shit for men. Pussy ass bitch. Take that shit back to Alabama. Take that shit back to that little college shit. Take that shit back there, nigga. This is where men play.
So men play better from Wyoming is what you're saying?
Yeah, play. Go back to where the fuck it is you came from, nigga. Don't come around here with that bullshit. Nigga was all up in his feelings, and you should be, cause you a bitch. Bills Mafia, yo. These niggas scored on every drive. Come on, what we doing?
Wait,
What we doing?
every drive?
Yes, every drive they scored on.
Hold on. Okay.
They had
First
the they had the
first
ball
drive
18 times.
touchdown, second drive touchdown, third drive touchdown, fourth touchdown,
Every drive was a
fifth
touchdown, my nigga.
fifth into the half for a kneel down, then touchdown, touchdown, kneel. Oh shit, yo,
Yeah,
yo,
yeah. They was these niggas, yo.
yeah, they didn't. I can
Ferry
see if
was
the shit was like I can see if the shit was like yeah they scored every drive like 2 touchdowns 2 field goals like that's how the Bengals open up the game in their game.
yeah,
No, but these niggas touchdown every drive.
yeah, nigga. This shit
That's
like
not even
Madden,
right.
yo.
Shit, niggas don't
This
even
shit
do that
like
shit
a
in
Madden
Madden.
game.
Nigga
That's how
turn
we was going, yo.
niggas turn that shit to arcade mode and turn all the sliders all the way down and just played.
Facts, yo. They was wilding on these boys, yo. Nah, but like all jokes aside, it feel good to like have a W like that, cause like as a Bills fan, niggas was going through it for a minute. And when we got Tyrod Taylor, like niggas was like, okay, like
No, but
he like
Tyrod can play. Like
yeah
he
he
got y'all to the
nice.
playoffs.
Yeah, he got. I'm saying like he got us to the playoff. I was about to say that like he nice, but he was missing like size and accuracy.
No, he had both
You
of
know what
those.
I'm saying? Like
You gotta remember that
nah,
that the first year he was there, they were like trying to figure out what to do with the team with him. Then the second year
yeah,
they got a new GM, and that GM was like, I don't want Tyrod to be the quarterback, but they didn't have no replacement. So
yeah, and they had
Tyrod started playing good, and then that's when the GM started trading away all your receivers to try to make sure Tyrod
yeah,
couldn't play
they
good.
gave away all of our key weapons or whatever. But then they built like a but yeah, like we had Tyrod and like he was all right, but he was only going like I never saw a Super Bowl in him. And no disrespect to him, like he nice, but he 5'11", and yeah, he fast and everything, and he can run the ball for sure. But like in terms of like accuracy, he didn't have no type of downfield accuracy. And in terms of arm strength, he didn't really have that either.
I mean,
He was good.
most guys don't got crazy arm strength like Mahomes and Josh Allen. I mean, even Brady don't got crazy arm
Yeah.
strength. But like
Yeah.
what I saw with
He,
Tyrod was like a
yeah. Like
Joe Flacco type thing where it's like, no, this guy's not gonna get you a Super Bowl by himself, but he's good enough that just put the pieces in place and shit's gonna go well.
he'd be a fire backup. He'd have been a fire like backup QB. Like no, like all jokes aside, he'd have been a fire backup QB. But even still, like they gave him away or whatever. Then we had I forgot the dude's name, like because we only had him for like a season. And then we got Josh Allen, and he came in there killing, and that's when we was relying on Cole Beasley a lot. But then when we got Stephon Diggs, the shit just completely changed, yo. And now you even see like Devin Singletary, he stepped up.
Well, no,
When
that's not about Singletary step up. That's about the offensive coordinator realizing and play calling, hey, just run the ball. Whether you think this shit is gonna work or not, fucking run it. Don't try to make
Nah,
Josh
that nigga
Allen.
Singletary stepped up. He wasn't like as effective of a running back.
Yeah,
Like
that is true, but but still, you got to give
like he
you have to establish the run early in the game in order for it to
yeah,
work.
the
You
nigga
got to
was averaging like 3 or 4 yards. Like that's not doing nothing. And now like
no
they was like
four
really
yards of carry is where you want to be at with a running back.
nah. It wasn't. But it was 4 yards of carry. But we was mostly a passing team.
Yeah, and that's the problem that you guys wouldn't run
Like
the ball.
it was like averaging three. Like nah, not even. I think he was averaging three last year. He wasn't averaging a bunch. So
Yeah,
like
but
nowadays,
last year y'all weren't even handing them the ball in the first quarter.
well,
Like
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
y'all go to
So the
first
fact that
quarter
they
without even attempting a run, which is
the fact that
that's just bad play
they
calling.
did what they did is like, yo, like these niggas is bullies now. They just bullied the fuck out the Patriots, yo. And we deserve that, because I'm tired of fucking Pats fans, yo. Every time we win, there's an excuse. Fuck them niggas. They can look a dick. And if you down with Patriots, fuck you too.
I'm not down with the Patriots, so
And, and,
leave it
and,
at
and
that.
anything else, Chris?
We won. God damn it. Like we did that. I'm about to go, chill with my friend real quick, say happy birthday to her. I'm going back home.
All right.
All
That's
right, be
it.
safe.
I mean, I ain't leaving the group chat. I'm just saying, like,
Oh shit.
I'm chilling.
I thought you were done. My bad.
Nah.
I thought it
I
was
would never
done.
come in here. I would never come in here and just rant about the Bills and then fucking leave. Like, nah. I
No,
said my
I
piece.
mean, you've done that before, though. But that's neither here nor there.
Did that though. Fucking bitch ass motherfuckers.
During this brief intermission, I just wanted to remind all our listeners that we are available on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, and we also have a Twitter account where you guys can interact with us and catch up with us, see our ideas on some things happening between our podcast episodes. Links will always be down in the description. And now back to the action. All right, so the big story we're starting off with this week. Not trying to bury the lead or anything. We were gonna get to the national championship game. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. look, aptly as this podcast is titled, we have to start off with the firing of Todd Graham by the University of Hawaii football, the Rainbow Warriors, baby. And yeah, it's been a crazy tumultuous time for this man. As if you're watching on YouTube, you're gonna see that it scrolls through the headlines and everything. It's gonna cycle through. Don't worry. I got it on a nice little loop so everybody can see everything. But yeah, he's had a tumultuous tenure there at the University of Hawaii. I mean, this is a man who started off Tulsa, turned that program around, did a year at Pittsburgh, then bounced to go to Arizona State, keep their winning styles of at Arizona State and increase it for 3 seasons. Then the last 3 seasons he was there, that shit just went kaput. Then the man was gone for 2 years. Then he up at Hawaii and man finished 11-11 over 2 seasons. So obviously not good, but the continuous amount of stories from his players coming out about who this man was and the character of this individual and all the allegations of different kinds of abuse and everything with that, and from some of the coaches he had on his staff, and then his overall disconnect with the people of that university. Like each university has its own, special culture of like how it connects to all the people around it and stuff like that. Because like for instance, a Clemson or an Auburn, those cities are extreme college towns. So as a coach of the football team, you got to be able to connect with the people in that community. And Todd Graham, you're coaching at the University of Hawaii, and that's a place with a very extremely unique culture, different than any other place in the United States. And he had a very big disconnect with the Hawaiian people as things seem to pour out. And then him not respecting, the traditions of who the Hawaiian people are as a culture led to the fans not liking him. And then who he was as a coach in the locker room led to players not liking him to the point that ended up having 18 guys hit the transfer portal, which is an extreme amount. This is not, you know, most of these guys aren't your highly touted, hey, this guy was wrecking everybody over here at Hawaii, and we need him at Bama. We need him at Michigan. We need him at Ohio State. We need him at Georgia. These aren't those kinds of guys. These are just guys who are like literally trying to escape the nightmare that was being coached by this man. And I mean, I talked about it last time a little bit when talking about John Madden and Urban Meyer. That switch from the mystique of the head coach turning into this cult of the head coach, and how these guys as head coaches they're propped up, especially in college football, as being the end all be all to what's occurring. Because the college coaches in compared to the NFL, that's the head coach, GM, director of player personnel, damn near the team owner when it comes to college. And Todd Graham just misused all of those privileges. And I haven't seen it recently where an extreme amount of guys are deciding to transfer out of a program. 18, almost 20. It's just, I mean, even with this whole, um, with the COVID protocols and how they pushed everything back, and how even with all these teams with having stacked guys with, those guys, every guy was allowed to get an extra year. Even having a stack like that, I don't think we've seen any other team come close to having 20 guys saying, hey, I'm out, I'm leaving to go play for a team who's going to let me play. And of these 18 guys who transferred out and decided to start transferring out, because, it was, you know, it was like 3 or 4 guys at the beginning of the season. Then December hits and the numbers just start going off like a money ticker. It goes, brrr, just crazy. And I don't think I think this may be Todd Graham's last stop in coaching. Period. 'Cause, I mean, we saw before this he was gone for 2 years after Arizona State, and we didn't see him have no coordinating job, no position coach job at the college or pro level. We didn't even he wasn't even fucking coaching high school football. So this may be one of those guys from the old guard trying to have these old ways like a Woody Hayes or type, and that shit just doesn't fly these days and all that bullshit. And this and losing 18 guys to the transfer portal. I mean, some of the guys haven't fully committed to other schools. Possibly with him getting fired, some of those guys could come back. I think like probably 5 of those guys have already committed to other schools. So maybe possibly get 13, more than like probably 8 to 10 guys to come back because about half those guys are getting decent playing time who left. And considering that they had 36 seniors on this roster leave, and considering that I forgot how the NCAA is doing it because they gave everybody the extra year how to incrementally stepping things down from because generally it's you can have 70 guys on the scholarship and 100 total guys on your roster in college football, but they increased the roster size to 125. Of course, for the to match the maximum number of scholarships you're allowed to give per season, new scholarships to hand out per season. And I think they bumped it up to 90. I think they're dialing it back by 10 a year for these next 2 years to dial everything back down to get it back to 70 and 100. But considering you got 36 guys leaving, just seeing as they graduating, you got 18 more guys going. You've lost literally the equivalent of 2 whole recruiting classes in 1 year. You literally you can only bring 25 guys in a year, so you've lost a significant portion of your team. And I think that may be why the athletic director, and I don't even know what they call it. If it's the board of trustees, whatever name they have for the University of Hawaii, why they got why they got to the point where they're just like, yeah, this man's gone because losing the equivalent of 2 recruiting classes in 1 December is something that you just can't make up. It's damn near the equivalent of SMU getting the death penalty. You can't make up the amount of loss that's just occurred. It's something that's difficult to overcome. Maybe the University of Hawaii. I mean, so far through the transfer portal, they only got 3 guys coming into the University of Hawaii through the transfer portal. So I don't even think they're gonna be able to make up some of that difference in the transfer portal, or in giving out guys scholarships. I mean, they are recruiting some JUCO guys to come up, stuff like that. Some JUCO even think they got a couple of Division II FCS guys, but that's gonna be enough to offset what the damage that Todd Graham has done to this program. I mean, I'm not talking about Hawaii like, oh, these guys have been the glorious program for a very long time. They have their peaks and valleys like most Group of Five schools. Mountain West, WAC, all of those guys. They have their up and downs, but I think this could possibly be the thing that sends them into just a deep permanent pit for like maybe 6 years. This is the kind of thing that makes teams become those teams where it's like, yeah, this team's just a doorstop just for everyone else to beat up on. This is a team that every FCS school schedules just to say, hey, we beat an FBS team. This could lead to that. We'll see what happens. I'll keep y'all posted. I mean, this podcast is going to specialize, bringing the East Coast. A lot of stuff that's happening out there in the Pac-12 and the Mountain West that you guys don't get to catch because, by the time news happens over there, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. We sleep. But I'm here to do that for y'all. And hopefully y'all keep coming back to hear about that kind of stuff and crazy mess. But we're going to hit a commercial break and come back and talk about that championship game. All right? During this brief intermission, I just wanted to remind all our listeners that we're available on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, and we also have a Twitter account where you guys can interact with us and catch up with us, see our ideas on some things happening between our podcast episodes. Links will always be down in the description. And now back to the action. Congratulations are in order. Finally. Kirby Smart and the University of Georgia Bulldogs were able to finally slay that one dragon that had been hanging over their head for the past damn near decade. They beat Bama and got themselves a natty. University of Georgia, they did it, you know what I'm saying? It's an incredible journey. Kirby Smart being a former, you know, Alabama assistant coach to Nick Saban, and this only marks the second time one of Nick Saban's former college assistants has defeated him in a game, and the last assistant who did that was someone who was on Nick Saban's Michigan State staff. So that just lets you know how long ago it's been this motherfucker that did that to Nick Saban. But also give it up for, University of Alabama. Had a very nice run this year. Showed people that they were big dogs. Even though, Texas A&M took them out behind the shed. LSU, Auburn took them to the edge. And Georgia should have beat them in the SEC championship game. But we ain't going to get into conspiracy theories about why that did not happen and why they weren't running the defense why they weren't running the defense like they were in the national championship game. That was similar to the defenses that Texas A&M, LSU, and Auburn used to stifle Bama and this O-line that's not that great and that defensive front that isn't as great as people want you to think. I mean, it was a great game if you watched it. The whole state of Georgia, city of Atlanta, showed up to Indianapolis. It's about 80-20. The Georgia fans traveled a lot better than expected. The Bama fans got a little bit too lackadaisical and didn't show up. They think, it's a given. We're Bama. We're just Bama. We're just going to win just because, that's what it's supposed to be. It's destiny. It's like, if you haven't paid attention to this last decade, that shit ain't destiny for y'all. Dabo done took y'all out behind the shed. Florida State done got one up on y'all. LSU done got one up on y'all. It's not given to y'all Bama fans, man. Shit gotta be earned. You gotta work hard for it. Like a one Stetson Bennett. Man went from a walk-on to being now one of the top QB recruits in the nation in JT Daniels and putting it all together to win a natty for a squad. That's some kind of, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if, after this horrible Kurt Warner movie, Disney might turn Stetson Bennett's life story into a fucking Disney movie about perseverance and sticking to it. Hey. But the game at first was shaping up to be, another one of those boring SEC title games where no one scores, no big plays really happen. I mean, that is mostly how the first half went. But the second half was electric. SGC type action. Big plays being popped. Maybe some touchdowns not occurring, but guys are putting things together. Is he about to run this back? Hold on, y'all. My no, not bad. Jalen Reed seemed like he's about to break one wide open on the Bucks. They're down 31-0. This game's over by day. It's playoff football. You gotta watch it. You gotta see what happens. But yeah, this hopefully this is the end of the Nick Saban reign over everybody. Hopefully people put a little more respect on Kirby Smart's name, because he's had a very good program for the past decade as well himself, taking Bama to the edge. I mean, they've beaten Bama. They've beaten them once in the conference championship game. They beat Bama once in the conference championship game, I think 2 other times they've won the conference championship game when Bama wasn't in it. But very good team, very good program, a lot of respect. Hopefully they keep on winning. But with this win, it makes it now. We only have 5 active head coaches in top division football that have natties. Nick Saban has 7. Dabo Swinney has 2. Kirby Smart got 1. If watching on YouTube, you probably already seen who the other 2 are that have 1. But if you just listen to the audio, if you had to guess which other 2 current head coaches have natties, you might be able to pick out, Jimbo Fisher, currently at Texas A&M, won a natty with Florida State with Jameis Winston. That's number 4. But number 5, I'm pretty sure most people don't even know number 5. Wouldn't even think about number 5. To long-time college football fans, some of y'all young kids, y'all didn't see this game happen live. I did, and it's definitely the greatest game you've ever seen. I mean, some of y'all think, Deshaun Watson taking on the Alabama machine, throwing that pass to Hunter Renfrow is the greatest game. I mean, for y'all, yeah, y'all generation can have that. That's the greatest natty game y'all can have. But the greatest natty game ever was won by one Mac Brown, coaching the University of Texas, with a nice, good old Vince Young, the new quarterback prototype that almost everybody's becoming now, taking on the machine of USC, coached by one Pete Carroll, that had fucking Matt Leinart, Reggie Bush, Lindell White, goddamn Dwayne Bowe. Yeah, guys like fucking Brian Cushing, H.A. Hawk, goddamn Troy Polamalu. It's fucking loaded ass team just built. Probably 5 times better than Bama. All the Bama teams Nick Saban put together couldn't beat this team, but no. Yeah, Mac Brown makes number 5. And that championship was back in 05. And that's crazy to think about. But you still have other coaches out there waiting in the wings who have natties. I mean, currently, with Mac Brown as his defensive coordinator, you got Gene Chizik, who got his natty at Auburn with Cam Newton. But then out there, guys currently who don't have jobs, who could possibly have jobs, who got natties. You got, Bob Stoops is technically a requirement, even though once Lincoln Riley left Oklahoma, he came out to coach him for the bowl game, which technically means now Lincoln Riley and Bob Stoops have won the same amount of bowl games since Bob Stoops has retired. Yeah, Les Miles still out there, got his natty, his 1 year at LSU. That would have been, what year was that? Was that the Jamarcus Russell year? I believe so. I believe that was the Jamarcus Russell year. Then, of course, you got, the one guy out there who may or may not ever coach again, in Urban Meyer. He got 3 natties. Got 2 with Florida, 1 with Ohio State. Who knows that man's ever going to coach again? I don't know if any. I think it's just about burning every bridge with every fucking person who could possibly be a coaching assistant out there who has a championship caliber. And then, of course, also, you still got out there, you got the man, the myth, the legend. One Ed Ogeron, who lived his life the way you're supposed to live your life after winning a natty. Divorce your wife, start fucking these college hoes. Hey, it's a goddamn vibe out this bitch. But Eddie O's still out there. So, I'm thinking the number will definitely increase from 5. They're saying it's 5, but it's technically 6. Gene Chizik is coaching as a DC. He's a defensive coordinator still coaching. It's at least going to go from this 6 to 7. Eddie O's going to get another job. Les Miles will probably get another job. But, hey, winning natties guarantees you almost always going to have a job. Unless you're Urban Meyer, of course, now. But back to the game. the one thing in this game that I was glad to see that fucking Georgia didn't do the first fucking time is that instead of just rushing for every play, you have to send five, send six, or show that you're sending five and six to mix up that front because that O line's not that good, and you gotta put a spy contain on fucking Bryce Young, the Heisman Trophy winner. Shout out to Bryce Young. He won the Heisman Trophy. I personally would have picked him out of the quarterbacks available to be the best QB. Definitely would have chose Kenny Pickett. I feel was the best quarterback this year from what I've seen. I even feel like Sam Howell. I'd put him a little bit above Bryce Young. Independent, his quarterback ability independent of the talent around him. But hey, the Heisman Trust, college football playoff. They're a little bit in cahoots. So they're to make sure the Heisman Trophy's in the college football playoff. Marketing, branding, money. It is what it is. I'm not mad at it. Am I a little bit upset? Maybe. Angry? Nah. It is what it is. Good for them. Good for Bryce Young. But yeah, they had Bryce Young on the run. They did a lot of showing six, sending five, and a lot of showing five, sending four with a spy. Very, very good scheme up front. Then forcing the wide receivers to have to be who they are. And that worked a little bit, but one thing, shit. I can't even remember the kid's name. I think it's something like Kershawn Johnson or something like that. Ooh, fucking wee. Stetson Bennett was burning. Was throwing it to the wide receiver. Two plays straight, they burned him on the drive. Just one play, got burned. Oh shit, that is helmet to helmet. On a true defenseless player. Yeah, and could be some fines on that. Don't worry, y'all see it if you enter your Twitters. The play I'm currently talking about. This Eagles player just fucking helmet to helmet on a down Tampa Bay return guy. Already down, just went helmet to helmet on the guy for no reason. But yeah, two plays in a row. Stetson Bennett threw it to his wide receiver on that drive. First play, he got burned, but he's able to chop the receiver's legs down, just get that 15-yard pass interference. And 2 plays later, touchdown from like 30 yards out. Yeah, they made that boy a victim, but that's all right. Every dog has its day, and every DB gets burned every once in a while. But the national champion, you in the spotlight, so he took them jokes in stride. He gonna be all right. Of course, Bama's gonna be back next year. I mean, you literally has the Heisman Trophy winner as your quarterback, who's definitely coming back. So Bama's gonna be a force to reckon with. Bryce Young's gonna be a force to reckon with. And if J.C. Daniels stays with the University of Georgia, Georgia's definitely gonna be in the driver's seat as well. It's gonna be another battle of the big bads in the SEC championship game, and hopefully not in the college football playoff. Hopefully, as Nick Saban's been complaining about NIL and the transfer portal, hopefully that shit changes the whole landscape of college football. Because Nick Saban knows it, that the Tuscaloosa area of Alabama does not have the capital to compete with places like University of Texas, Texas A&M, University of Oklahoma, let me see, UCLA and USC in the LA area, Stanford and the San Francisco teams. As far as like the money that's out there to offer these players, Bama doesn't have that. And as you've seen, well, even though this doesn't involve money, but as we've seen, you got a 5-star and 2 4-star recruits deciding to up and go to Jackson State and other places. A lot of smaller schools. Opportunities is going to be out there. Nick Saban might get exposed that he's not a good coach. He's just a good recruiter. Even though being a good recruiter is a very big part of college football, he might just get exposed like, hey, he just gets all the 5-star players, and then they coach themselves. They just do their own thing. But we shall see how this works out in the future after this title game. The implications that this shit could have. Because, you got guys who want to play for Bama and be on Bama, but more than anything, a lot of guys, they want to be able to say, hey, I beat Bama. They want to be on that short list of people who can say that. So we'll see how this goes on in the future. We're gonna get to commercial. We're gonna come back. But hey, Georgia, Kirby Smart, the Atlanta, Athens areas of Georgia, y'all have fun. Y'all remember this. Do it again next year. Make the rest of the country proud. we all had y'all back, baby. Do it again. And other schools out there, Michigan, Cincinnati, y'all had your opportunities to take down the SEC. We need y'all to do that. Get these boys the fuck up out of here. I mean, Cincinnati, I know your recruiting's a little different being a group of five. You can't get those big guys up front. Michigan, y'all can do it. Harbaugh, go to the fucking NFL. We don't need you. We don't need you no more, nigga. We seen your product. It's not the best. Another muff punt. God damn, what are these niggas doing? What are y'all doing? Yeah, Philadelphia's cooked. Shit. But yeah, Ohio State, Ryan Day, they can get back there if they can beat Michigan. ACC, Pac-12, Big 12. Just have to survive, not auto cannibalizing one another. Because I think Utah could have went out there and did some damage against Alabama or UGA. But we'll see what the future holds. We'll keep it pushing and moving forward. Let's get to this break. During this brief intermission, I just wanted to remind all our listeners that we're available on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, and we also have a Twitter account where you guys can interact with us and catch up with us, see our ideas on some things happening between our podcast episodes. Links will always be down in the description. And now back to the action. And let's get to it. One of the NFL's favorite or least favorite holidays, depending on what your team is looking like for the year and how you feel about your head coach. But this week we had the one and only Black Monday. That is the title given to the Monday after the last regular season week, which this year was the first time it was week 18. So that Monday after those Sunday games played, it's considered Black Monday because that's when most head coaches that are going to be fired get fired. Either that Monday or Tuesday or sometimes even fucking Wednesday, as we damn near seen this year. But let's start from the top. All right, Vic Fangio, he got let go by the Denver Broncos. That was one of those. That's one of those ones where it's sort of like, I mean, if they didn't let him go, I think people would have been cool with it. But they let him go, and it's also like, okay, you can see why last 3 seasons, there's been 7 and 8 wins, and it's sort of like they've been looking at the products like that's as good as we're gonna get. We don't see you having a way forward for us, so we let you go. People are cool with that. Then you got I'll get to the less controversial ones at the end. All right. Then you got Joe Judge let go by the New York Giants. That was a funny situation because you had the owner coming out and saying, "Hey," and then Monday they're saying, "Hey, we're sticking with him. This is our guy." Monday night, the GM decides to leave. Then Tuesday night, it's like, you know what? Fuck him. Get this boy the fuck up out of here. Joe Judge is gone. Which he should have been the first one on the list of all these coaches to be like, "Hey, nigga, you're done." We've seen the product you put together for the New York Giants on that field with Danny Dimes, who's actually a pretty decent quarterback. Speaking as a Cowboys fan, but I don't think they designed anything to be for him to prosper over there. They designed a system to be like, hey, Saquon, you can do it all, then we win. That's the strategy. That's all they got. And that's just foolishness. Just complete fucking foolishness. And then you got Matt Nagy in Chicago. He had 1 or 2 decent seasons and everything just fell apart. He was the one saying, "Yeah, I'm gonna get Mitch Trubisky. We're gonna be the truth. Everything's gonna be live. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that." And That nigga lied. Mitch Trubisky had one good season. Then they basically took the film from that one good season and just put counters on that. And then Matt Nagy couldn't adjust to any of that shit. Then the whole situation with Justin Fields this year just wasn't good. I mean, bringing in Fields, Andy Dalton, and fucking I can't remember who the third person was. I feel like it was Mike Glennon, and all three of them are thinking, hey, they're coming in to be the starter. Like not having the confidence of being a quarterback. Like yeah, I'm gonna come here and be the starter. It's like no. All of them were told upon arriving, hey, you're gonna be the starter here. You can't do that. That's just poor roster management. Come on now. But yeah, Matt Nagy, he deserved his fire, and everybody saw he was gonna be on his way out. I'm not saying he was a shit show like fucking Joe Judge his whole tenure, but Matt Nagy on his way out this past season, yeah, he had to go. Let's get to Minnesota Vikings and Mike Zimmer. One of the longer tenured person on this list, longest tenured. I think he did 6, 7 seasons. It's on the screen on the YouTube. It's scrolling by. If for y'all to look at if you're watching on YouTube or if you listen on audio. I don't feel like waiting for it to come by. I don't even know where it's at the moment to to know. But yeah, Mike Zimmer. He had they had 5 seasons there where every other year they were in the playoffs. He's also you also got the Minnesota Miracle, Stephon Diggs, that that perfect win versus the Saints. That walk off, lovely, loved every second of that. But these past 3 seasons, they've been up and down. Mostly leaning on Dalvin Cook. Haven't really designed a passing game built for Kirk Cousins exclusively. But yeah, it's time for them to make a change. Mike Zimmer, good coach, but yeah, just time for them to make a change. I understand it. So, hey, it is what it is. But now we're gonna get to the two controversial firings. I'm gonna start off with the Texans firing David Culley. One season, one season, literally. Like, yeah, this man a season. Like he wasn't like part of the organization before this season. Like one season straight up. He comes in. They only get 4 games. Most time, you get a 4-win coach. People are thinking like, "Hey, this guy's not a good coach. We should probably get rid of him." But this is him coming in to a roster after they made the fire sale of getting rid of J.J. Watt. Under, that's Bill O'Brien's handling of this roster. They got rid of J.J. Watt, got rid of DeAndre Hopkins, and now they're both over on the Cardinals having the best time of their goddamn lives. But David Culley is brought in to a team that him coming into it, really coming to. They did not have a quarterback. He did not have a quarterback because Shaun Watson and his sexual misconduct cases are looming over them. So you have a quarterback who's making around 35, 40 million a year, who's stuck being on your roster, but you cannot play him. So therefore, you're stuck with all this salary cap that's tied up in a player who cannot touch the field. So it makes it difficult to go out and get a good replacement. In which they brought in Tyrod Taylor, the unluckiest man in NFL history, the most unlucky quarterback you've ever met in your life. Probably besides Alex Smith and, the Legatron 9000. But you have that. Then Tyrod gets hurt. And honestly, David Culley, out of all these coaches, probably did the best in elevating the play of his rookie quarterback in David Mills. David Mills went out there and balled. They didn't win. They only won 4 games, but he went and did the job every game he was out there on the field. Like he didn't. It didn't seem like, hey, this guy can't play the game. It's like he can't play the game. They got some things to figure out, but this guy can play the game moving forward. But I feel like David Culley just got fucked, and it's just like, hey, you were brought in. Basically, it was like, hey, we're bringing you in for one season. For a season, basically, for them to be like, we're tanking without making it as aggressive as the situation that occurred with the next coach I'm getting to. Making that aggressive. Yeah, we're gonna lose, we're signing you up. We're signing you up as GM and executive board. We're going to lose. We're going to hire you for one season for us to lose with the team we designed to lose, and then we're going to fire you so we can get the guy who we really want. Basically, it was just some fucking bullshit. Like that's not how you fucking operate an organization. And I hope no coach really tries to actually go to that Texans job. 'Cause that's some bullshit. You can't just treat another coach like that. And so getting going to the next one, which is even more egregious, is fucking Brian Flores being fired by the Miami Dolphins. Like you put it together these last two seasons, you got an 8-1 season this season with start. I don't believe he's a good quarterback, but with Tua, this team started off 1-7, and he was able to get these guys together to rattle off 7 straight to give these guys a hope of making the playoffs. Even though they faltered in the last 2 weeks and didn't make it, but this is if you got a coach, you can keep these guys head straight to be like, hey, we just got to go out there and play and win, and to get them to do that 7 weeks straight, take themselves out of the playoff pictures to directly in the mix. That's the kind of guy you probably want to have around. Yeah, and then yeah, they finished off 8 or 9 wins this season. I know last season they had 10 wins and barely missed the playoffs. During the whole, should they start Tua or should they start Fitzpatrick? Which, of my inkling, I don't believe Tua's that good of a quarterback. They should have started Fitzpatrick that whole season, but because that was Flores' second season, and in his first season, it was basically showing that, hey, he sort of has no control over how the fuck his job's going to go. Because their first season, his first season coaching in Miami, they made it apparent before the season started, hey, we're going to tank for Tua. But like any good coach and any good quarterback like a Ryan Fitzpatrick, it's like, y'all may want to tank, but I'm here to fucking win. And Brian Flores did his best because one thing they did early in the season was take away his play calling duties on defense and making sure that defensive coordinator called the plays that the higher ups wanted to call, the worst possible play in defense in certain situations. I mean, 538 highlighted the play where on fucking 3rd and 25. 3rd and 25. They called a zero blitz, which is the dumbest thing to do. Calling a zero blitz. Showing zero blitz, then actually zero blitzing. Which all you need is just a slant route to get hit, and then that motherfucker's up the field quickly. Which is what happened. But yeah. They wanted him to lose. Even so much to the point where it's like they got rid of their number one running back. Got rid of the number one running back in Kenyon Drake. Traded him away. Got rid of Kenny Stills and Jarvis Landry. Let Jarvis go in the offseason and traded Kenny Stills right during the beginning of the season. Then got rid of Minka Fitzpatrick, their best DB on the roster. So it's like they were intentionally trying to have this man lose his first season as head coach. Like he had to fight against that. He fought an uphill battle. Then when they were forcing him to start Tua, when he knew Tua wasn't ready, making the best he could do with Tua, but then when things got dire, putting in Ryan Fitzpatrick because he knew, hey, if we want to win games, this is the guy we got to put in here. And then this past season, rattling off 9 wins, getting to 9 wins after starting 1-7. It's not an easy fucking feat. This man's a good coach, and they fired him over some bullshit just to let him go. And then they wanted to put out, oh, yeah, since the first season he was here, he had been difficult to work with because he didn't want to do the things we wanted to. It's like, you're saying he's difficult because the guy comes in, you say, hey, we want to lose, and he's like, nigga, I don't want to do that fucking shit. I'm not here to fucking lose. I'm here to fucking win. So, Brian Flores, that was just some greasy shit, but now everything's all up in the air. You got a lot of job openings. It seems like Brian Flores is more than likely going to get the Bears head coaching spot, which, good for him. Good for him being the first coach hired out of all of this shit to get one of the open jobs at Minnesota, Chicago, Jacksonville, Las Vegas after the whole John Gruden fallout, and then yeah, you got 8 teams with open spots. If you're watching the YouTube, you'll see it. Should You'll see it. I guess our Red Lava should be getting ready to get there right now. Yeah, you got Broncos, Dolphins, Jaguars, Vikings, Raiders, Giants, Bears, Texans. This is probably one of the few times that I've ever seen this season where we got 8 open spots going into the offseason for head coaches. But him being the first to get one of those 8 spots is great. I mean, Jacksonville's looking at getting Byron Leftwich to come down and coach over there. Because currently, right now, I'm because people have been talking about it. I'm getting into it because it's been scrolling across the screen. If anybody else has seen it here, who's watching on YouTube. But when it comes to the Rooney Rule, currently, because the Rooney Rule was set in place mostly for minority, but mostly aimed at helping black coaches be able to get hired and head coach in the NFL. Currently, the only black head coach standing right now is Mike Tomlin. And when you count the total minority coaches, you got Mike Tomlin, Ron Rivera, and Robert Salah, which basically currently sitting at 3. If Brian Flores gets hired, it makes it 4 more than likely. I think this will basically next season going into 4 would be the lowest it's been since the Rooney Rule was instated. And the thing people are talking about, how the Rooney Rule hasn't been holding up. I mean, I've talked about it. I mean, 538 a couple of years ago went in depth about it, and that one of the biggest problems with the Rooney Rule is not is sort of not having to do with the NFL level, but at the college level, and that a lot of guys before they coach at the pro level, they coach at the college level, and they show where most people are in their careers before they become an NFL head coach, and that just like in the NFL, as we've seen with David Culley and Brian Flores now, that black coaches have a significantly shorter leash than their white counterparts. I mean, J.A. Adonde and the Undefeated circulated a interview, not an interview, it was a press town hall with college basketball coaches featuring John Thompson, the legendary head coach of Georgetown basketball. And he's in there. He's in this video. He states, "Hey, we're not asking for you guys, to give us special treatment as black head coaches. We just want the opportunity. First off, the opportunity to be able to coach, and then second off, the opportunity to actually fail before we're fired. We don't want to have to. We don't want to have to be exactly perfect to first get the job, and then be extremely perfect just to keep the job. We just want that fair treatment across the board." And that's sort of what the Rooney Rule is supposed to be set up for. But someone who put it in very good standards is Jason Brown, aka Coach JB. If you watch the show Last Season U, he's the second team that's featured in Independence College out in Kansas. That head coach. What is it called? The Slap Dick Podcast. He talks about it on there. Like, the one thing you first off got to remember beforehand when it comes to all these coaching interviews that we hear about and coaches getting hired, this shit is way in the hands beforehand, because every single one of these coaches have agents. So these coaches, they know beforehand more than likely which job they're actually going to get before they even go in for the interview. And he had that to say, and then also talked about how, hey, when it comes to this Rooney Rule stuff, it's like how last year Marvin Lewis got interviewed for the Carolina job, even though we all knew good and well, because we heard it 2 weeks ahead of time, like, hey, more than likely Carolina was going to get Matt Rule, and that Marvin Lewis, basically, these black head coaches, and start going to catch 22 when it comes to the Rooney Rule, and that they're going to these interviews just so these teams can fill their quota of having interviewed at least one black person for a head coach position, one minority person, and that they're going to these interviews knowing that they're not going to get the job, but they're really just hoping these teams just check a box real quick to say that they did it, even though they know they're not actually going to do it. and that's become a problem because I got it here on the charts. If you look at the history of all the of of what head coaching regimes most of these black head coaches coached under, the one thing that stands out very big is that Tony Dungy has 5 different black minority head coaches served under Tony Dungy, and that's what I think 20 different guys, maybe 20, and this is excluding anybody who got interim head coaching jobs. You know, coach got fired in the middle of the season, they just need some of the stuff up. We're not counting those instances. We're talking about, hey, you were hired to come here and be the head coach. Tony Dungy has five. Five of your minority head coaches specifically worked under Tony Dungy, which is a problem considering, hey, such a large portion of our black head coaches got into the NFL because of one of the other black coaches who got hired. It's a problem. I mean, you also have Andy Reid's high up there, and also Marty Schottenheimer. It's high up there. But the Rooney Rule sort of becoming a problem because you're just seeing like when they do get opportunities, it's very slim. Yeah, slim. And then also Marvin Lewis had 3 of the guys. Marvin Lewis had 3, so it's just sort of like 2 black head coaches account for 8 of the other black head coaches that have occurred in the NFL. That's not a good stat you want if you're the NFL. But then also the big thing that has come up is Eric Bieniemy. The fact I think over the course of like the past 3 years, he's only had like 2 head coaching job interviews. I mean, that's what started the Deshaun Watson saga in Texas, in Houston before the assault allegations occurred. Is that he asked, "Hey, you don't have to hire him, but for this new head coach after Bill O'Brien, as a quarterback, I just want you guys just to interview Eric Bieniemy, pick his brain, see if he might be a fit for us." And they flat out just refused to do that. This guy who's had so much success under Andy Reid. As we've seen a lot of coaches come from under Andy Reid, do have decent, at least mid-level coaching talent to be a head coach. But Eric Bieniemy is sort of the sticking point. It's like the Rooney Rule doesn't work because he's not getting interviews, and without getting interviews, he's not getting the fucking jobs that should be available, that should be out there for him. And it's just sad to see. It's like, hey, we would like to see more diversity in black head coaches. Robert Saleh got a Muslim head coach, and Ron Rivera only counts for what? One of 2 Hispanic head coaches, just him and Tom Flores. Considering we also have a decent population of Hispanic football players, I think they probably count for what, 15% of the NFL's player makeup, maybe 10%. So for them to only have been 2 throughout the history, and then the fact that everybody can, if you ask a person, hey, name the 2 Hispanic head coaches in the history of the NFL, and that's an easy list to name, and everybody knows them. Even Tom Flores ain't even in the fucking Hall of Fame, which is some bullshit. Motherfucker got 2 Super Bowls as a player and 1 as a head coach. Come on now. Rooney Rule ain't working. Can't even get Tom Flores into the fucking Hall of Fame. That's some bullshit, man. And it hurts me. And it hurts to see it. That minority head coaches just don't get the opportunities that they should get versus their white counterparts. Like, how the fuck did Joe Judge get a head coaching job when his highest job in the pro rankings was being the special teams coordinator at the New England Patriots? I mean, I understand, yeah, special teams coordinator. A lot of times it's the assistant head coach, just because they're the only person who really has to know what's going on both sides of the ball, because that's where they get their players from. But Joe Judge, he's only special teams coordinator for a season. Then they made him head coach. It's just like, yo, life's not real. The NFL's not real. It's all bullshit. We go to fucking commercial. Because I'm upset now. During this brief intermission, I just wanted to remind all our listeners that we are available on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, and we also have a Twitter account where you guys can interact with us and catch up with us, see our ideas on some things happening between our podcast episodes. Links will always be down in the description. And now back to the action. Alright, now we're going to end off the show. We're going to talk about what's going on in a little word of them beatdown sports, that combats, that MMAs, as the kiddies would say. Oh yeah, last night, shout out to Calvin Cater, put the fucking beats on Giga. Headlining that match last night for the free UFC card. Hey, if you if you have ESPN, all I'm saying is, hey, pay $5 a month, get that ESPN Plus, gives you all the free UFC cards, the quote unquote free ones. For $5 a month, you get that, and all of their insider articles. It's worth it. Not even gonna hold you. You get access to some of the extra games, some of the extra TV angles that are available to you, like the rail cam stuff like that for basketball. You know, also some sports like maybe you into hockey, maybe into a little bit of hockey. Yeah, they got that on there too. This is not a paid ad. It's just me letting y'all know, hey, pay that $5 a month, bro. If you're only if you already got ESPN. If you don't got ESPN, do not pay that $5 a month. It's not fucking worth it. It's only worth it if you already got the ESPN. But yeah, Calvin Cater put the beats on Giga. That was great to see. And for the most part, the news concerning MMA is mostly all the stacked fucking lineups they got going into the new year. If you're on YouTube, you're seeing some of the shit flying past, some of the headlines, some of the things that are being, some of the lines spoken for people trying to make matchups. Yet, yeah, shit like unfortunately, Max Holloway can't come back to avenge his title against Volkanovski. Got an injury during camp, so now the Korean Zombie is coming out to take on Volkanovski. Chan Sung Jung. We'll see how that works out. We got, we're looking to the future. We're hoping John Jones finally makes an appearance at heavyweight to fight for the title. He's easily gonna get the winner of Francis Ngannou and Cyril Gane next week. Hey, if you listen to this podcast and you are not an MMA fan, this is a fight you're gonna want to watch between these two heavyweights for this pay per view. If you're listening to this after what is this, January 22nd? I don't January 22nd, 23rd. If you listen afterwards, try to find that and go back and watch the fight because I'm telling you, it's gonna be entertainment. It's gonna be a banger. And then not even just UFC, one championship over there at Asia. They dominate the Asian market. That's where they get their fighters from. They have Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson taking on Rotterdam. Two legends of two different disciplines. Mighty Mouse, MMA, Rotterdam, Muay Thai, kickboxing. They will have a nice special mix of rules. Just so we get to see those two throw it down in the ring. They was like, fuck it. We just gonna you niggas y'all gonna see it. Y'all gonna see it. And then of course they got Angel Lee fighting out there as well. You know, one of my faves. These cards are stacking up. I mean, one thing I'm waiting on is a PFL season. Seeing who they get on their roster this year. Professional Fighters League, win the championship, guaranteed $1 million. Seeing who they can get lined up. Kayla Harris is going to come back, possibly not join the UFC because I mean, honestly, there's more money for her to be made in PFL. Like her, Ray Cooper III, those kind of guys, Bubba Jenkins. It's very lucrative for them to stay in PFL. I think Anthony Pettis is staying back over there as well too. So yeah, looking at the cards that are coming up for ONE FC and UFC, looking out to basically April. They've got they basically got the first third of the year planned out good, and it's gonna be entertaining. We're gonna see a lot of good fights. We got a lot of good headlining. We want to see all the people who we love to see, like my my best friend's wife, her favorite fighter, Tato Ivasa. He's gonna headline versus Derek Lewis, and hopefully he wins and pops the shoey. This can be good. It's for the vibes, baby. The people gonna love it. You got Rafael Fezis versus Rafael Dos Anjos, the battle of the Rafaels or Rafaels if you're um, Brazilian or South American. That's how I say it with the accent. Hey, the battle of the Rafaels. Hey, niggas gonna throw it down. You got fucking shit. Uriah Faber and Uriah Faber and what is the motherfucker's name? Cub Swanson going to fight the two old guys still fighting. They said, hey, let's throw it back. Let since they made a BMF title, why don't why doesn't the UFC make an honorary WEC title to throw back to the old days? Because where both of them came from. We'll see how that lines up. That'd be great as well. But getting into more so of the sort of the business side of things and other things happening around there. Is that Francis Ngannou and Tyson Ferry had been a nice back and forth. They want to set up a super fight. They want to do something to entertain for the people. I mean, I would love to see them just in like a straight up boxing match because Francis Ngannou, that's a big motherfucker. To seeing him in a situation where he's not required to cut weight, that'd be interesting to see. Because Francis, he has to cut down to make that 265. Seeing him like probably maybe a solid 280, nice and healthy, good stamina, versus Tyson Fury, who's a nice 280, healthy stamina. Seeing those two in a nice little boxing match, that'll be fun to see. That'll be great to see. They keep going back and forth. UFC probably with the contract stipulations. I'm about to get into that a little bit. It's not gonna let Francis get out of there and just fight unless Dana White finally sets up Zuffa boxing, which they've been wanting for a while. But yeah, yeah, and I think what else? Got Platinum Mike Perry. He's finally gonna have his first fight in Bare Knuckle FC. If you're into that, if you're into like a lot of more blood than you would see in a UFC fight, you got that. You got that, and these cards that are coming out is very good, very good. You got John Jones about to come out. You got Henry Cejudo talking a lot of shit, but it's like, bro, you've been retired for way too long. Nobody's really trying to see you fight, and you're not going to immediately get a title shot. So relax. I think. Oh yeah, you got the clear number two in welterweight behind Usman, Kobe Covington. So to go out there and probably take away all of Jorge Masvidal's star power. That'll be interesting to see because if Kobe goes out and puts the stumps on Jorge like I expect him to, then who is little old Jake Paul going to be able to call out to try to set up a fight because that little nigga going broke. It's verified. His pay per view shit only at around like 85,000 buys. Niggas lost money on that. The promoters lost money. It's no one wants to see you, bro. You're not a draw like you think you are. The jig is up. The casuals. People think you can always just capture the casual market, but the casuals have to listen to the hardcore slash diehards slash regular fans of whatever sport it is. Like the same thing you're seeing right now with Connor. Connor, when he comes back, probably is not going to headline a pay per view because even though Connor's nowhere close to being ass as a fighter, but he's not title contending level currently. He hasn't shown us that. He, his fights with Dustin, yeah, they were good until they ended, but we know Connor's not ready for that level again currently. So, and now the casuals know it as well too. So Connor's not as big of a draw as he used to be. The stars dim a little bit. And Jake Paul, his stars all the way dim. No one wants to see him fight. Like the jig is up. Got conspiracy theories about you're on the roids. Got that being shouted up. You got the whole fucking shit where it if you watch it if you're from the era of '90s to early 2000s boxing where a lot of shady shit was going on, it looks like Tyron Woodley possibly was paid to take a dive and to let a shot comes straight full force through and hit him. Who knows? Hey, it's out there. I'm not saying it's true or not. I'm saying that's one of the things out there. So your stuff is looking less like, oh, legit, but it's more spectacle because now everybody's actually investigating who Tyron Woodley is, the casuals, and they're seeing like, hey, this guy's for the most part a wrestler, and you got like 40 pounds on the guy and 6 inches. This is a fight you're supposed to win, as everybody would say. Then they look in the Ben Askren, they're like, wait, this motherfucker was literally only a grappler, barely did MMA, and had 2 hip replacements just before you fought him. So the jig is up on Jake Paul, unfortunately, for him. So I don't know what he's gonna do to turn that around. But I mean, he had his little streak of like saying, "Hey, pay the UFC fighters more, pay them." Then he's trying to entice the fighters like, "Yeah, you come with me, come fight for me, you get paid." But even before the numbers came out for that second Woodley fight, Jorge Masvidal, one of the main people we called, was like, "Hey, I've seen I've seen the numbers behind the shit you're doing. Yeah, you're lying." Then Nate Diaz came out and said, "Yeah, the money you're saying you can guarantee me, I know it's a lie. I've looked at the numbers. UFC can guarantee me 3 times as much as you're saying." Then these numbers came out, bro. It's a wrap for him. It's a wrap. But then also more getting into the numbers, Francis Ngannou sort of broke a little bit of information that finally, for me and probably some others, finally allowed things to make sense. For a while, most of the time when it comes to these contract disputes between UFC fighters and the UFC about how much they are and aren't getting paid, well, it's almost always champion fighters. And that is because in each UFC contract, there is a champion clause where if you have the title, if you have the title after you fought your last fight on your contract, so either you won the title in that last fight or you defended the title in that last fight, your contract automatically for renews for 3 fights or 1 year with the UFC at the same amount for what you agreed to in that original contract. If you won the title, how much you would get paid, which is why for most of these guys it's stagnated at around $500,000. So that's why it seems like it's sort of set up in a way where you're better off possibly the losing the fight before your last fight on your contract, just so you're not in title contention, and then you can up that pay. Because one person who's been smart about it is Sean O'Malley. I mean, he's notoriously known for turning down fight opportunities, and he stated that's because he's like, hey, I'm not gonna go fight top 15 ranked guys who are ranked, if I'm not gonna get paid like a guy who's fighting top 15 ranked guys. Because Sean O'Malley, people are basically quoting him as being, more likely he could be the next Conor McGregor. He has a brand that he's building up very good, and he's becoming a star. Highlight film knockouts, a lot of walk offs, intentionally that he's doing. And like, hey, he could be the next guy to become a face in the UFC, but he's being smart about his money because I'm pretty sure he doesn't want to be caught up being a UFC champion, defending the title, and only being paid 500,000 per fight plus some pay-per-view points when it's like, hey, I know I'm worth a lot more. That's why guys like Nate Diaz only really signs 1 fight contracts with the UFC. That's why Connor's been mostly 1 fight contracts with the UFC since they took his belt and the whole Khabib situation. That's why he's making 5 million a fight. Dustin Poirier's up there making a million or two a fight. So yeah, these guys are trying to rewrite the rules to make sure they get their money, which I'm all about. And it's a good thing. But UFC, hey, if you're not into it, this is the perfect time to get into it because they're gonna have a lot of great matches coming up to start off the year until about April and June before they gotta remake more schedules up based off of win and losses that people have. Now's the time to get into it. Good time to watch. And also, Shout out Bellator as well. Bellator has a very good roster that you're gonna want to enjoy seeing as well. If you want an alternative to UFC, Bellator they sort of set up their things more sort of like the old days of what was known as Pride FC. That was in Japan, where it's like, yo, it's a big spectacle every time one of these guys comes into the ring. It's a grand entrance on like some WWE shit, and they treat them as superstars as such. That's gonna be nice to watch as well. But no real news coming out, no real big updates in the fight sports world. But there are fights coming up over the course of the next few months that you're gonna want to see and that you're not gonna want to miss. If you got a friend who's into UFC, ask them, be like, hey, I know I heard there's some good fights coming up. Can I watch some of these with you? So you can get into it. At least have someone who can explain it to you a little bit. They might not be as throwback as me because I'm someone from the pre-Fox deal. I'm talking. I was watching back when the Ultimate Fighter was first starting. I'm one of the old heads in terms of fans. But it could be one of these more newer heads that you could talk to, get into it with, and you can enjoy it. That it's not just brutal violence. There's an art to it. It's mixed martial arts. It's a painting. Except I'm painting my foot to your head, and you going to sleep. It is what it is. And that's the end of the podcast, man. If you listen this far, thank you. I appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe, tell everybody you know about it so I can get more views and have a broader audience, maybe upscale, get some better audio and stuff, get some equipment. And I appreciate you. You, the listener, like PBS. Shows like this are brought to us by our sponsors and viewers like you. It's the Watching Hawaii podcast. I'm Ski Mask Murphy. Y'all have a good night, man. We're hosted live in the SayLess podcast Discord server. Shout out to the SayLess podcast of Kaz, Lowkey, and Rosy.
And we are also affiliated with the Otaku Fight Club podcast, hosted by yours truly.
And we are also affiliated with the Sips Tea podcast, hosted by Genesis and Csaint, a rapper and a battle rapper out of Buffalo, New York. All the links to everything described here in the bottom of the description.